Welcome back on another episode of Hit It Where It Hurts. We've been consecutive on so many days now, and we've lost count of how many episodes we've come out. So how's everyone doing?
Literally, bro. It feels like this is a part of the routine of life now, bro. It's no longer like something we just do every now and again, bro. This is. You still there?
Yo. Yeah, sorry, my mic just cut out for a second.
No, you're good.
So for everyone joining today, the topic for today is, what do I do with all this money?
For sure, bro. For sure.
And
so what money are you talking about?
ooh, what money? Let's be honest, my pockets are all empty at the moment. But
Me too, bro. I don't know how we came up with this title, bro. That's not in relation to me. I thought it was in relation to you.
oh my, bro.
Nah. So for everyone watching, just while I get up this Instagram page up, basically we've spoken about how to establish your business, how to start it, where to drive it, start from your passion, start that business, how to advertise it, execution. And now we're going to talk about when you make your first customer and when you start making real money.
So when we talk about where all this money is, we're talking about you. Now you have your money, you have your income coming through every week. But are you using it for the right things, or are you just
100%.
not investing into your future? Because let's talk about us for a second.
Right.
I work a job and Mark used to work a job, but that doesn't mean we use that money to go party every day and every night and every weekend.
You can't.
So
There's no way.
yeah,
You just can't.
exactly. So we use that money firstly to invest in Shisha at Your Door, and then that worked. And then we took that money and we invested it into Zoros Media, and now Mark's probably investing. Like we're still investing in Zoros Media, but
Yeah, we are.
other things that we're doing separately. That Mark's probably doing different investments. I'm investing into crypto, this, that. So
That's right.
when we ask you about money, like, are you putting your money in the right places, or are you just wasting it all?
For sure. And the thing is, people make their first few bucks, right? They make their first profit. Let's say they make for their first few grand, bro. The first thing they do is they go out and they buy something that makes their business look better, right? They buy a nice suit or some shit like that, right? They don't understand that the quality at the start of the business, right, that you have is only going to increase the more you invest into it. Our social media services are only going to get better the more we invest into teaching ourselves more and more about it, right?
Exactly.
And it can't, it can get worse, but how likely is it to get worse, right? It's not as likely. And I think people need to understand that the real proceeds of profits is being able to get more profits out of where you got them initially, right? And the only way to do that is to reinvest into yourself. And this Instagram thing is just not working out tonight. No Instagram for us tonight. That's it.
I just advertise that everywhere.
Me too, bro. Me too. It's depressing. But so it's the thing is with when you make money, is that you start attaching your feelings to the money, right? You start attaching the fact that you made that money, it's rightfully yours, you earned it, you worked, you put your time into it, blah, blah, blah. But that's the biggest problem with spending it on things that are completely unrelated to your business or making use of profits, because it's not necessarily profit yet, right? Financially it is, but in the long term of your business, it's not profit yet. That is only the gas to keep your business going, right? And the best thing about reinvesting into your business and the best thing about not having attachments to your money is that you're able to think clearly and not think with emotion, If you're constantly thinking about the money when you're doing shit, right? And when you're constantly putting that money into something different or constantly not reinvesting into yourself, into your business, then we all know that, it starts to get harsh, right? When you lose that money, you feel emotionally attached to it, so it hurts. When you get that money, you feel emotionally attached to it, so it rises you up. What happens when you stop getting that money and you have an emotional attachment to it? It's really bad, right? And I think that's the biggest problem with it.
100%. And now let's take it down. Let's take it back to businesses and how they can use their money with investing. And
right.
A lot of businesses a lot of times forget that, they forget to reinvest in themselves. They see the money coming in, they see business booming, but they they forget that there's always room for improvement, and there's always going to be competitors that come in and steal their bag, you know.
That's right,
So
100%.
and then we see that with a lot of businesses fail over time and time. And one of the biggest companies that failed with this is Blockbuster.
Right.
You know Blockbuster, the
Yeah,
movie one.
yeah.
Yeah. So instead of
All right, we are
invest,
live on Instagram.
oh,
Okay,
we
yeah,
are, okay,
continue. Yeah,
awesome.
we're live. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of reinvesting in themselves, they thought, "Oh, no competition can take me out. I'm comfortable." They got too comfortable, and we speak about comfortability a lot as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people need to know that you can't just be comfortable with the way your business is going. Even if it's
100%.
booming, there's always going to be that gap, that little gap where there's going to be that other person that comes in and steals your business. Because look what Netflix did. Netflix
Yeah.
came in as nobodies, and they stole and they crushed Blockbuster down. And now there's only one store of Blockbuster in America. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And imagine how innovative they would have
Yeah.
been if they invested into a marketing team, if they invested into like a Shark Tank of ideas and that type of thing. Blockbuster
Yes.
would have been able to dominate the online movie industry and the offline movie industry, you know?
Yeah.
And because they didn't do that, they gave leeway for Netflix to just come in and take it all, you
Exactly.
know? And
Yeah.
I think it's just a smart business decision, right?
Yeah.
To always to reinvest your money. Because when you early make your money, right? That could be not as a result of your services being good. That could be as a result of you being a good salesperson. That could be a result of your good advertising. But you can't be certain that your services is the reason that your money is you're making that amount of money, right?
Yeah.
So to certify and to always improve, right? Like customers will see it. Let me give you an example. Like for the people who are not really into business and like kind of new to that business thing. Like there was a TikToker who hit 1 million followers. You know that guy that goes and asks people, "What do you do for a living?" Anyway, he made I think $3,000, and the first thing he did with the $3,000 is that he went and he invested into a social media agency and a marketing team, right?
Yeah, that's
that way
awesome.
he had better cameras, better everything, right? And that way the quality of his TikToks went up. He started making more money from TikToks. They were getting him contracts with other brands, right? And even though he spent most of the money that he made it all back through the quality of the respending, right?
Yeah.
And so it's good to want money. It's not a bad thing, but it's even better to want it as an ulterior, like an alter. I don't think ulterior is the right word. Like
It's
what's
like
the word?
like what? Like a
Like an ulterior alternative. Alternative. That's the
alternative.
word. It's an alternative,
Yeah.
right? Like when you help out someone, you have like genuine happiness, and the ROI is their happiness, and then the money comes along to just it's like a gift with it, right?
Yeah.
But when you're so focused on the gift, you start to lose vision in what's important with the business, right? And that's why when emotion is attached to like, you know, what you're selling, what you're buying, blah, 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 then that's where most of the issues come from, right?
100%.
Because you're not really looking into why you're actually doing what you're doing. And it
And
always goes back down to passion.
and look at it this way, like a lot of like you gotta spend your money to make money. Nothing comes for free. And like what that guy did, I didn't know about this, but that was like the smartest move anyone could do.
100%.
Because if he didn't know what he was doing, then he got the right people to do it for him, and that 3,000 probably turned into like 10, 20, 50,
20,000.
100. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Exactly.
Like it just
And
builds up from there.
for sure. And you know, every business needs to sacrifice. All the money that you put in, you have to be willing to lose. When you like, especially for startups, right? Like startups are so scared to put money in. They're like, oh, but like, what if I don't make it back? But what if you do? Right?
Yeah.
So many people are sitting there like asking all these like business advisors and shit. Oh, do I put 1,000 in or 2,000 in? It's like, put whatever the fuck you want in and see what happens, right? No one can predict the future at the end of the day, right? No one.
Like
So-
put what you're willing to lose.
Put what you're willing to lose, 100%. And don't think about it. Like once you've invested it, it's out of your pocket, it's out of your mind. On to the next thing. The more time you spend thinking about the money that you're spending and the money that you're losing is more time that you're gonna lack the ability to make more and lack the ability to advance as a business. Like, you know, research and development is so important for any business, right?
Yeah.
Understanding the product or service that you're selling and the extent that it could go to is so important, right? And if you overlook that, your competitors will just like you said, outrun you, right? They're going to spend more into research and development. They're going to be more on the trends. They're going to be listening to their consumers more. Like Gary Vee pays a guy to literally just go read comments. Okay? He literally pays a guy to go read comments and to get feedback from each of them into the comments. Now, what's the ROI on that, right? The guy's giving opinion, but it's what Gary Vee does with that opinion. So he's not thinking about how much he's paying the guy, which is probably like not that much. He's just reading comments, but it's what Gary Vee does with it after. And that's the biggest problem. People don't get to that point where they think, all right, what's next? They're already thinking about what they've invested in. But if I was sitting here crying because I put $300 into a mic and we got one viewer one night, then what's the point of doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
What's the point of understanding what the next podcast is going to be about? And so when you don't attach money to your feelings to your money, you start thinking a lot more logically.
And I was looking at a TikTok the other night, and I saw this guy. So this guy had a invest advisor or some shit like that, and he told him to put put money into the Apple stock back in 2009.
Right.
So the guy put in 100K, and I think over a year, the next year, it was at 350K. So he went to his business advisor. He said, "I'm gonna cash out. You gave me the best advice. I'm gonna cash it out now. I want to buy my mom something nice." The guy told him, "If I were you, I wouldn't. Find another way to do something nice for your mom."
Yeah.
Right. The guy kept his stock of $100,000 investment in, and today it's worth $16 million.
Yeah.
So if he had pulled out,
if he had pulled out and bought his mom like a fucking Range Rover, so it's like, what was it worth?
So for people out there that just want to buy nice things and all that, or do nice things for other people with money, there's always different ways that you can go on doing those things.
For sure. And it all comes down to patience, bro, as well. Yeah.
Like your mom probably would want a mansion instead of just a $100,000 house, you know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
So, yeah.
And you know, like, you have to have the interests of your business first, the interests of your consumers first, before the ability to live more comfortable, right? Like at the end of the day, we're serving the consumers. So we're the ones that have to struggle. We're the ones that have to be on the back foot. If we're so quick to use the money that we earned, right, into going straight forward into a more comfortable life, you lose that drive, right? You lose that drive that you started with, right? And when people miss that drive, then they lose they lose vision in the business. Your goals are very blurry, right? They're not 100%.
Yeah.
And then that's when you start to lose money, right? Because what you initially got money with is what you've now lost because of the money, right?
Yeah.
And people say passive income and blah, 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 but they're literally checking that income every day. How many people do you know that invest into crypto but then check it every day? And they're like, oh, it's a 5-year long-term investment. Then why are you checking it, right?
Exactly. No, but
stocks too.
But people do that so they can reinvest when it goes down. Today it went down, I reinvested. You know what I mean?
But
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know.
Don't shout him out like that. No, when people make a promise that that money's out of their mind, you expect that they're moving on to the next thing, working on the next thing, not wasting their time. But then you go look at them and they're literally sitting there oh my God, the stocks went down.
And they're crying.
They cry. And that's why you have to understand the amount of money you're investing as well. You have to be willing to lose it. And practical example is that I invested $800 into Shisha Yodor on the start, right?
Yeah.
And bro, I didn't know I was gonna make it back. I really didn't. That business idea was so it was like on an iceberg, bro. Very flimsy, right?
Yeah.
Could have went one way, could have went the other. Thankfully, it went the other, and I was able to make that money back. But when I was investing, I never would have known. And had I not have invested that much, I wouldn't have had enough shisha to supply the demand that we were getting, right? So people are so worried about hindsight. People are so worried about making the right decision in the moment, blah, blah, blah. Execute and then deal with the repercussions after, right?
100%.
Put your money where your mouth is. Ooh. If you're saying that, this means the world to you, blah, 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 money doesn't mean shit, show it. Show it. Go out, do shit for your consumers, right? Yeah. Spend time. Drop your job to a part-time. Sacrifice some of the money. Invest a percentage every single paycheck. I know people who have set percentages out of every single paycheck to invest into something, whether it be a business or their side hustle or whatever. If you're not doing that and then you're saying you're invested, you're not invested, right?
100%.
Unless like obviously time and stuff, but at the end of the day, the money is the most important thing because that's what keeps you going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
like for me, like we always use ourselves as examples because it's
we
better
do.
to go with people. Like people better understand it. Like
That's right.
when I was working back before lockdown, I used to always set aside $100.
Yeah.
So at the end of the month, I had a collective of like $100 that I can, $400 that I can reinvest into, whether it was crypto, whether it was a new side hustle that I started, whether it was buying new cards. Is that, you know what I mean? Like,
100%.
and that doesn't only mean like have saving money doesn't only mean saving to reinvest. Like maybe you have a bill that's coming. Maybe your car has needs something. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
all goes a long way when you're like save, but use that money like, because if you're just gonna leave it in your bank account, and let me
So
just
what's it
talk, let
doing?
me just say that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna get you anything. Like, what is it gonna get you? 73
Literally.
cents interest return a month, which is literally like trash. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like, I don't want to say
100%.
that it's money at the end of the day, but like
No,
honestly,
it's
like you
true.
can't
It's
get
true.
anything with it. So
Money in your bank does
yeah,
nothing, literally.
exactly. So like use that money maybe to invest into a skill that you've been wanting to learn that skill, master it, start a side hustle from it, and you're set. You know what I mean?
And this goes for the people that are able to like uninvest themselves from their money, really disconnect emotionally from their money. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people are able to do that. If you're one of those people who's emotionally connected to your money, then you invest into it and you're like, oh, I forgot about it, but you're checking every single day. You're not really forgotten about it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the most important step. Like you can go ahead and invest 10,000 into your business, but if you're miserable after and you can't find happiness in your life because you can't go buy breakfast every day, don't do it,
Yeah.
right? You have to be willing to take the sacrifice. And don't try if you know you're not, if you know you're not that person, right? That's not what we're saying. But at the end of the day, you don't know until you try. People say like, oh, like, you know, I'm gonna save every single paycheck from when I'm 16 to buy a house. Okay. So what happens if you executed with 2,000 of that, right? From now to the point where you're gonna buy a house, yeah?
Yeah.
How much could you have executed on that would have gave you a better ROI? You know? Unless the house is the number one thing, goes above your happiness. Like if you're a fucking house lover, right? You go home and give hugs to your house and shit. Like I just don't understand that anymore, right? Like that's the olden way of thinking.
Yeah.
Now with side hustle, now with the social media, like people are able to chase their passion from a young age, right? Like I've seen it, bro. There's like 14-year-olds making millions of crypto, right? And it's not luck. It's not luck. These guys are like working hard and shit. They build a following. And another point we wanted to get on is that network score is really important. You know, if you have to invest to network a lot more, you know, if you have to up your quality to meet more people, if you have to, you know, go out and do things for other people and that type of thing, it's like your network score goes towards your net worth in the end, right? And everyone says that. Like Clubhouse, there's people with net worths of like 5 million, and they say your net score is even more important than your net worth. Because you could have all the money in the world, but if people don't want to service you, people don't want you around, what's it going to matter, right?
But if you don't have a connection, then what's the point?
What's the point? Exactly. Yeah.
You want to address Jordan's comment?
I didn't.
Yeah. So Jordan said, "What do you each think is the important ROI?"
Well, it depends. It depends on the customer and what they're asking for. Personally, for me, like okay, like putting aside agencies and everything, like me as a person, the most important ROI is happiness. Either my happiness or the consumer's happiness, one of the two, right? And ROI is dependent on what your call to action is, right? Like the ROI of how often your call to action was executed. What do you think?
He said personal.
You cut out.
He said personal. Yo.
Huh?
He said
Oh,
personal.
personal. Yeah, definitely definitely my happiness. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's the most important ROI
Because
for me.
at the end of the day, personal, like for us,
Yeah.
probably like happiness. Because without happiness, you literally cannot. For me, if I'm not happy, I can't work. I can't make content. I can't get out of bed. So if I'm not doing that, I'm not generating money for myself.
100%. And not necessarily the longevity of business, of course, but like you asked personal, so we thought you weren't talking about like an agency and like business standpoint. In terms of business, the most important ROI is dependent on what you're executing on, right? Like there's different ROIs for different things that you execute on. It could be networking, could be followers. Right now, the most important ROI for us is consumer satisfaction, you know, and how satisfied are consumers with our services. And I think it can change, right? Dependent on
depending on like, so with what do you call it? With ROI, it depends on
yeah.
the apologies are meant personal for you apologies are meant personal for you subjectively.
Subject. Yeah. So he meant like, what's our opinion in business, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like in business, what's the most important ROI? Like I said, it depends where you are in the business, right? What you're actually executing on. Right now, for us, consumer satisfaction. It will always be like, that will always be the number one thing, and then everything else will be ulterior. Alternative. Ulterior. I don't know where I got this word from,
Yeah,
bro.
you're tripping out today. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
has to be customer satisfaction. If it's
It has
not,
to.
then because if you're not pleasing the customers overall, you're not gonna get your business out there. You're not gonna get, like, say, word of mouth or whatever it is. So
And
people
if
are not
you're
gonna know about you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're asking for specifics, like the customer satisfaction that could be like, sales, that could be conversion rates, that could be followers, that could be, clicks on their website, generating like, engagements, that type of thing. Could be any of those. So consumer satisfaction as a whole, and then depending on what they actually want, that's like the real thing, right? But it really just depends. The ROI technically depends on your expectation of what you believe that you should reap. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Because whatever you think you're going to be able to propose to the customer, whatever you think you're going to be able to get out of what you're doing is the ROI. But like I said, you can't generalize it, right? For one customer, it'd be profits. For one customer, it'd be networking. For one customer, it'd be followers, right? It really depends.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. But like, and also like with money, I think we always talk about small businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
It costs $0 to support other small businesses, right? Connecting with people within your niche, right, is such a smart investment. I know we're talking about money, but like, this doesn't really include money. But connecting with people within your niche, connecting with people who are at the same level as you, is really important. I think because it shows that you genuinely have love for the niche, right? You have love for the thing. And Jordan said, apologies if I'm a little misty. I should probably message you beforehand. I would like to be featured on your podcast. Yeah, for sure. Like, we'd love to have you on,
We'll
bro.
set it up, bro.
Have some good conversations, literally.
Yeah, like, going back of that topic, what you were saying about
Yeah, like it costs $0 to support other businesses, you know? Like, not only for the like, we know network really does lead to net worth 100%, and I strongly believe that. But like, just to support other small businesses as a small business is really important. It does show your consumers what your true qualities are. And like, we're talking about money. That's like the cheapest investment you could do. Going and liking and sharing and commenting and giving genuine thoughts about what people are doing and how it helped you out or how it didn't help you out or whatever. And like, people that buy from small businesses as well, giving testimonies, things like that actually helps a lot in terms of money, right?
If you're going and eating at your local restaurants and shit like that, especially at these times that we're coming out of lockdown soon, like, just put it on your story, tag them, share it with your friends. That helps a lot. And
100.
and also, like, if you know any small businesses and stuff like that, Mark's gonna link down
I'll link it right now.
link where you can send it to them if they need a shout out. We'll give them a free shout out. Tell people about them just to get them up and going. You know what I mean?
For sure. And it's like, the thing is, like, it might be a little bit off topic, but it's so important right now that people understand that, I would rather, and any business would rather, testimonies than a $50 note at the end of the day, right? Like a GoFundMe or some shit, they donate $50. I'd rather a testimony, right? I'd rather, if I helped your service, I'd like to hear about it, right? Which you don't expect. Like, no business owner will really ask of it that often. So most of them are very shy. So if consumers go out and do that, that's like a massive investment and a massive help for all small businesses. So I think it's really important to talk about. So if you're in the chat, I just posted. Okay, that link didn't work. Well, it's on Facebook. I just recently posted it. It's called Free Sign Up for Shout Out Sheet. Basically, you just put your name, your email, and what you want us to shout out, and we'll shout out your small business. And Sip and Click said they don't want to ask for help because they work their ass off for it. It's fair. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, no one wants to go out there and say, donate us money, give us testimonies, post our shit. But we're telling you that it's like so important right now that everyone needs to show appreciation, show love to when a small business gives you that support. And we're not talking about ourselves, we're talking about everyone, right? Yeah. And it's the most important thing. I think someone's gonna walk in behind me.
Oh, I can see that
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
Do you want to
yeah. What were you
address
saying?
Jordan's comment?
Yeah, sure. Are there any questions you have? Are there any questions you have regarding your interpretation of ROI? I think, yeah, like I think the biggest question is like, why do people sometimes lose that interest in the passion, lose that interest in the happiness of themselves and look towards the money? Like what is that shifting point for them, right? Like they can start off a certain way and then end a certain way, right? And it's like, what is that shifting point? I think that's probably the question I have, because once you understand what makes people like that, then you could address it better. I think for me, it's just patience, right? People aren't patient enough.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people just want it now. Like
They want
they
it
get
now.
into something, doesn't work out. Like now, that's it.
That's it. It's
This
done.
is not gonna work. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've seen
And
a
I
lot.
think,
A lot of people do that with e-commerce. Like they come
yeah,
in, they start one store, they don't get a sale. They're like, this is not gonna work out. And like the thing is that they don't understand is just reinvest. Like find a course, go do that shit. Like that's gonna help you.
100%.
You can't just go into something without having no previous like what
Experience or
experience
anything
on it.
like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, when you reinvest, like, I explained the gold mine, right? Sorry about the sound. I explained the gold mine. Like, if you got in gold at the gold mine, then you're obviously going to reinvest to get better mining equipment to find more gold there,
yeah,
right? You're not just going to take that gold and leave. There's more gold there, right?
exactly.
And as we're coming to the end of the episode, did you have anything to say?
No, so Jordan said something else. He said, to be fair, money is associated with power, dominance, and among other things. Hence the obsession with money, with monetary value.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what I think that's what like the hurry is all about, right? That
Obsession, yeah.
dominance, the things, right? The money that you're gonna make from it and all that. Like people get really excited about that and they start to lose it. And most people who go for the short term, yeah, they make their money, but truly they lost what was really good potential, right? And you don't want to get into that format.
Let's be honest, like a lot of this blame goes out to the online gurus out there. It's
100%.
all these
100%.
people pushing out their courses, this, that, showing people that they're making millions. Yeah.
Then again, it's social media. If you believe everything you see on social
Yeah.
media, get off social media.
But
right?
that's what we're saying, like obsession with money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
leads people to believe in all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I think the biggest thing for me is that people need to remember what started them, right? Like, whenever you feel lost, whenever you feel like you're chasing the bag, what started you? You didn't have a bag at the time. You didn't know there was a bag. We didn't know there was a bag when we invested 1,000 in Shisha your door, right?
Yeah.
700 to 1,000. So
It's so you gotta chase the passion, not
you
the
gotta
bag
chase
at the
the
end of
passion.
the day.
Bro, like,
Yeah.
I love the videos. I love the videos where people say like, oh, like you ask if you should do a uni course or do a business. Who the fuck cares? You have to do one. You have to execute on one, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't execute, then you spend so much time thinking. And let's just end it here, because we're gonna go on to another topic, literally.
Yeah,
Let's
I
just
know.
end it here. Let me just say, like, to end it, and if you read my articles and if you see my Facebook, I've wrote this quote. If you spend 90% of your time thinking about what to execute on and 10% executing, then that's where your problem is. You need to swap it around. You need to do 10% thinking, 90% executing, and then adjust accordingly. Thank you so much for watching Hit It Where It Hurts, guys. It's been real. We're live every single night at 8:30 p.m. except for Thursday. We're live at what?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. with a special guest.